What are we jamming on now? Jay, what are you jamming on now? Vampire Survivors, I presume. I think I heard one of the CAGcast guys talking about this. I think this is familiar, but by all means, tell me about it.
Absolutely, man. So this is an indie game. It's on Game Pass, of course, but it's something that wasn't even really on my radar, despite being involved in all of the things I am at work. But then all of a sudden, like Phil Spencer, the Xbox CEO, had been playing it for like reportedly 100 hours or something. I'm like, what is?
They were
game?
saying it was like some wildly addictive, shit. Yeah,
and it came up in other work meetings when like people had it as like their team or their team's background. And so I'm like, all right, I got to check this game out. And so, yeah, it's kind of like just your standard roguelike game where you go, repeat it through patterns, through several levels. But it's oddly simple. Like you can't, like none of your buttons do anything. The only thing you're doing is moving around the screens and with waves and waves of enemies just coming at you just constantly. But your choices on what pickups you use and what build you use as you're like surviving these enemies is really fun, because as it seemed at first like the type of game that I was turned off by, because like things like Hades and Mother Gunship Forge and those kind of things had really unique upgrade elements every time you go in. Like Hades had the great story layered in, and so both of those games were amazing. Undermine was really fun, even though that had less of a purpose, but it definitely had like levels and you kind of understood what was going on. But this game, because like your X, Y, A, B, and buttons, left, right, trigger, they do absolutely nothing. You're just moving around. I was kind of like, wait a minute. Because I spent the first 5 minutes like wondering what is happening and why the buttons didn't seem to really do anything. And it's really all about the pickups. But it gets really addictive because they layer in so many more elements. Like you find... You're actually finding survivors of these vampires, like in these coffins. And when you do that, you pick up a different character. And even though it really just changes the sprite, they sometimes come up with new power-ups. And then you learn later on, they're like, oh, at one point you can actually combine two power-ups and evolve it. And then you become have a superpower. But then you compare them with other ones. And there's more to the game that keeps being uncovered as I play. And so it went from like this really basic thing where you really are just moving around, and in that respect, like it's really not that hard, but it's so fun, and I want 100% it now. Like, I'm hooked, man. I don't know what else to say. Like you should definitely check it out if you want one of those games where you need to just kind of relax, zone out a bit once you've gotten used to it and you kind of know like great builds you can use. It's great for relaxing, like after work and de-stressing. 100% recommend.
A game where you're being constantly swarmed by enemies, being relaxing, huh? That's interesting.
But I mean, it's like for example, you have the King Bible, which floats around you as like a floating defense mechanism, but it does damage. And you have like a garlic because Vampire Survivors garlic repels vampires, and it just like radiates outside of you. And once as you level it up during your run, it gets bigger, stronger, and once it morphs, like it may like flash all the enemies on the screen and like suck in all the gems, which levels you up further. Or like the little knife you throw, once you get it leveled up, it turns into like a mighty sword, which just like zips around the screen, constantly destroying everything. So like you'll have waves. At first there's only like one or two enemies coming at you at a time, so it's really easy to kind of just maneuver out of the way while your projectile of choice bounces around the screen and hits whatever it can. So you're trying to make sure that when you start out and all you're doing is throwing a bone or something, that it hits something, gets a gem to level you up so you can throw two bones the next time. And it kind of just, it sucks you in once you realize all the possibilities and options available. So, and I've Googled it and I found out other things which I have not found yet, supposedly. So now I'm like, I got to keep playing. I thought I was like already at the top, but apparently there's more to find, and super addicting.
Yeah, I believe that's how the CADcast dude was describing it as well. That it was very, just can't put it down kind of thing.
Yes.
I believe he said he 100%ed it too, actually. I think he said he did.
Yeah. I didn't even look at it at that level at first, because I was just kind of playing it, kind of understanding like, or trying to figure out what to do, where to go, because it doesn't really seem like there are objectives. But then now that I'm looking at the completionist kind of checklist, now I'm like, okay, I see what we're going for here. You're just kind of going after the objectives, which I like that. I like lists sometimes.
Did you ever beat Hades?
Oh yeah, for sure, man. I
beat it.
fully threw that. Josh, unacceptable.
It got so boring to me. After.
Oh man. Once you beat it,
boring and tiring. Like it was physically exhausting. Like,
yeah.
for my hand. I mean,
such old man gaming status, Josh. Come on.
I beat Resident Evil when I was actually doing the things. I can do the things. I just don't want to hit a button over and over and over again. It's not.
Yeah. Man.
Okay.
But after that, I actually finished Jedi Fallen Order. Like I was so excited. Like I played through a lot of it, and then other games came out, got distracted, whatever. But I wanted to finish it before the next Jedi game came out, and so I just jumped in, figuring I probably had like half the game left. But I really was like right there at the finish line. I didn't even know it. So I was super excited. Cannot wait, especially given that it's canon with the Disney's like overall Star Wars storyline. So super excited for that one to come next.
Okay.
And then
that's not the Lego one, right?
No. This is like the real story driven. Like they don't even have, from a HUD perspective, there's not really anything there. So it feels like you're just watching a show, like you're participating in the story as you're fighting. Like it's definitely tough. You can raise the difficulty and make it like really sweaty if you want to, or just kind of, you can make it storyline mode where the enemies are much easier. You have that variability, which is great because I played it normal most of the time. And then at the very end, I was like, this is taking too long. I just want to finish the story, like, so that I don't miss out when the next one comes out, so.
Word.
Awesome from that perspective. And then being home for Thanksgiving with family, man. So we went home. We had so many devices. We brought our Oculus. We brought Switches. I had obviously the xCloud gaming for Xbox.
Did you get your parents VR?
Not my parents this time, but like pretty much everyone else. So it was a blast. We played, definitely Beat Saber, but we actually played a lot of Switch.
Gotta talk your parents into it. You gotta talking old people into putting it on. It's so hard to do, but once you get them in there, it is so rewarding to watch them. I've already went through the whole thing with my grandma and shit. It's all right. Yeah, it's so rewarding to watch them like get it. It's incredible.
I have no doubt. But we actually ended up playing Super Mario 3D World on the Switch quite a bit, just because it's 4-player. And, having a lot of family around, we're like, what games can we play the most of people with? So we played this Lego game, another Lego Switch game that was up to 8 people. So there were like a bunch of us playing at once. It's a very simple game, but we had far more fun playing Super Mario 3D World, just because apparently there were DLC levels. We beat the game before. Jesse told me about it, like a year ago. We already beat it. But I didn't know there were additional levels to find. And so having 4 people playing at once, so much fun.
I know what Mario 3D World is.
On the Switch? Oh, man. It's just like, if you picture a combination of Super Mario 3 and Super Mario World, and then,
Was this one of the main, is that like...
It has eight worlds, kind of like you would expect, like a cloud world.
Is that the one where you can turn into the cat?
Yeah, that is the one where you can turn into the cat. Yeah.
What did I play? I played some of that shit on, what is it? I think that's one of the ones in 3D in Mario Maker, perhaps?
Yeah, it's included in that for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, I think I fucked with it a little bit on there.
Yeah, it's weird. The whole cat thing is weird to me, but
yeah,
it's still fun.
I couldn't. It was. I struggle. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I played the main game in something. I don't know what the fuck it would have been. Maybe it was just levels on Maker. I don't know. But yeah, I did the climbing. And I didn't. I was not. Was not a huge fan of it.
Yeah,
that's the from the, what is that? It's from the not the Wii. What the fuck was that?
Yeah, I think it was on the
Wii U. The Wii U. That's what it is.
It was on the Wii U.
The Wii U, right? Yeah.
But like the Switch version, man, had a blast.
It's Mario. I'm sure if you fucking get going.
give me 8 worlds, different biomes, and
it's wild to hear that
Mario
you can play 4 players at a time.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I mean Mario, obviously Luigi, obviously Toad, and Princess.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that idea, man. Word.
But yeah, but keeping up the VR, we finally got a chance, Courtney and I, to play some Carly and the Reaper Man.
Oh, great! That's great. Good, right? Such a good couples game. Such a good couples game, dude.
I was a skeleton, and Courtney was cracking up because like she changed my appearance, and I had like a neon like mohawk and stuff, and she was just cracking up. So I was like, wait a minute, how are you? Like, just the character, the sprite of Carly is really cool with like the electric neon hair and just the different perspectives. Oh, so good, man. Such a good game.
The teamwork shit is. It's fucking it's just so good. Like I said, especially once you get far enough where like I said, things catch you by surprise, and like I said, it's so when the one person thinks one thing is one way, and the other person doesn't know that it's that way, it's so good, dude. It's so fucking hilarious. The I don't know, the spats that can happen as a result of that. Like, what the fuck do you mean?
That's a great thing, man. I mean, yeah. There are times, especially the first time we realized that I could see floors and blocks that she couldn't. She's like, what are you talking about? Like, there's nothing there. I'm like, what do you mean? It's right. You're telling me you can't see this? And I was like, oh, okay. I think we're getting it now.
It's so good. I want to say, I mean, we still haven't beat it, dude. It's such a long game. Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know what percent. I mean, I don't know. I want to say we're in like the high 70s, maybe 80s. But, I mean, obviously that's quite a ways to go compared to I guess relative to how long we've been playing. That's quite a bit of content,
I'm glad there's more content. I was afraid that I thought it was going to be a shorter game. Yeah.
Oh, dude, there's shit at the end. It's just it's you sit down, you play it, and you're like, okay, and like it's. It's a long run thing. You're like, okay, we're just gonna knock out a couple levels, whatever, maybe.
Right,
and then you sit down, and then like you'll start a level, and like you can see, you can kind of look around and see the scope of it, and you're like, no, bedtime. Like too much. So I can too much. Yeah, no, it's fucking. It's a really, really, really good game. It's the same people too. Who the hell made it? And I was like, when I realized who the developer was, like, oh shit, they've made a few good games, and I can't think of it off the top of my head right now. But that developer, really good job, and I would like play anything that they make as a result. I think they just have like a really, I like the storytelling vibe in it is really good. Like talk to those birds and shit, and then when you meet some of the later, some of the shit is heart wrenching, dude. It's, not quite like Spiritfarer level of emotional response, but some of this, they'll like drop little hints, and then when it winds down at the end, and you do that little thing that lets the ghost go, like, and they kind of like drop the bomb about what their actual story is. Some of them are like, fuck, that's fucked up, man. So yeah, it's really, really good storytelling, and just the world building is great. Mechanics, it's all good.
It's fascinating the art, like the art style and the colors, because I like it. And I'm into it, and I'm thinking, okay, this is a great game, a story, that we're playing, and then you talk to the crows and you read the signs, and you're like, whoa, this is heavy, man.
Yeah, it's dark. It's dark as fuck. Yeah, it is. It is, and it's like it does that thing too. That's kind of, it's kind of, that fucking Pixar tactic of like building in adult themes but masking them in a way that a kid can experience them anyways. It's like a really, really well woven range of storytelling experience, or the ability to experience it rather. Yep. Really good. Cool. I'm glad you got into it. It's a great game.
Yeah, it's one of those games that we had on the back burner. I was like, come on. I was like, we have these VR. Let's do this. This is going to be the couples event of the evening, and it was so much fun. Much fun.
Awesome. Cool. Fucking
man. Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. What about you? What have you been jamming on?
So the only thing I really have to talk about is the Myst Walkabout course dropping on the 15th, and it is absolutely fucking magical. Really, like I talked about how I was kind of really fired up about the puzzle mechanics being woven into putt-putt gameplay and how they would like implement that, and it's fucking great. There's, it's still kind of, it's a little bit of that once you know it, and there's no replayability to the puzzle solving, which you missed once you. If you're really miling off Myst, of course, but it'd be nice if there was some variableness to it, to where, I don't know, it's hard because as a putt-putt player, you're trying to get the lowest stroke count, obviously, so you want to get to a place where you can you know what's going to happen and you can optimize it. You're trying to optimize your score. So true. I don't know, I almost want to say maybe there should be 2 game modes where there's a randomizer effect to where the puzzles kind of fucking, the way they work out is different. So you can play it that way if you want. So you always kind of have the crazy, zany randomness to it. Or if you're just trying to, there's a straight mode where you're just trying to, what's going to happen and how can I best tackle that for the lowest score, I almost want to say there needs to be two ways to get the most out of it. There should be 2 ways. And maybe that's something I'll drop into the fucking Mighty Coconut comment box.
So limited replayability, perhaps, on that course?
Well, because it's fucking, it's putt-putt, and it's hard as fuck, and there's crazy shit going on, and even if you know what's going to happen, it's still
you gotta execute.
hard, and you got to execute, and you gotta, it's putt-putt, so it's gonna, the physics are perfect, so it's just hard, but it would be cool, like I said, if those puzzle elements to it were always had the same potential to throw a monkey wrench into your run, but that's probably a video game player asking for too much. Anyways, the ball hunt is definitely difficult. I couldn't find 2 of them on my first play, which is not usually how I roll. I think I don't know if I might still not have found them. I think there might be 2 that I still haven't found. But either way, I didn't get them all the first time, and that's good.
That's not that's rare for you, isn't it? I feel like you always get them like immediately.
Right. So the hard course is fucking absolutely next level. They flip the puzzle functionality. Like the whole time you go through it, it's one like the kind of the expected physics of how the puzzles work is one way, and then when you go into it on the hard level, they kind of flip that on its head, and it's like, so basically the easy course is about hitting switches to change the course layout, and the hard course is more about avoiding switches that worsen the layout. So like instead of trying to implement mechanics, you're trying to avoid things, and it's a nice, it's a nice way to,
That sounds absolutely terrible and terrifying.
The hard one is fucking, oh god, it is just absolutely brutal. The putter hunt too is great. It only required getting 14 of the 17 book pages, which that's cool if you play Myst. Like what you're trying to find in Myst, what you're really trying to do is go out and collect those book pages to make the book to finish the story or whatever the hell it is, and that they do that perfectly as the putter hunt thing, on the hard courses. So that's cool. That's a cool hark back to the original game narrative. But yeah, I got the putter with only 14 of what says 17 clues. So I think there's additional hidden shit somewhere. And like I also found this ball, like not a golf ball, but like an oversized ball, like tucked back behind something. And I don't know a way that it's been implemented into the game in any way yet. So I think there's some extra hidden shit. Like I've gotten, there's a way to, which is another cool hark back to the original game. There's a way to raise the sunken ship that's on the dock where you start the game. There's a sunken pirate ship there, and there's a way to raise that. And I've done that, but I've gotten nothing out of it, and I feel like it's the kind of thing that probably has more of a payoff. But I'm not, honestly, I don't know that for certain. That's cool. But, either way, to have that kind of even, I don't know, whatever, just experience or like level of like curiosity, I guess, about a putt-putt course is just, it's just, they're fucking killing it over there. They're just fucking killing it.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's awesome. We got to jump in and play that. That's fucking cool. And then, as behind me says, there's a new Nemo campaign dropping on the 15th of this month. And yeah, just in time for Christmas. And there's a new barbarian character in it, which is pretty cool, like a melee thing.
What?
Art for him. Yeah, art for him looks fucking awesome. And I think the boss is the king. Maybe I said that last time. I don't know. But the boss is the Elven King, I think, which is, like all the little, when you first go into the game and it gives you that spiel about whatever the story world is. Like that's what they're talking about is the Elven King. So I think it's going to have, I expect it to be climactic in some way. I'm really looking forward to that. So, I'm fired up for this shit. And Amber on the fucking marketing team randomly reaches out to me the other day. And she's like, hey, I don't know if you know, we got a new campaign dropping. I'm like, fuck yeah, I know that, Amber.
Who I am, Amber?
Yeah, cannot fucking wait. And she's like, well, do you want, she offered me early beta access to it. And, with an embargo date for the 9 p.m. the night it drops, can't talk about it. I'm like, fuck, of course, mouth shut, no problem. So she's like, okay, great. And she gives me she tells me that the way they do this is they authorize your account for this app that's kind of like their beta version of it, separate from the regular app. She's like, okay, so what's your username? I give her my username. She's like, okay, it should be on your app library now. And I go in there, I'm like, Amber, I don't see it. It's not there. she's like, oh, fuck
me, Amber.
Yeah, she's like, well, you gotta, you gotta actually search for it. It might not be there. I'm like, no, I'm searching for it. I'm telling you, I'm not an idiot. I know I look like one, but I'm not as big as stupid as I look. It's not there for sure. She's like, okay, let me talk to the dev team. She talks to the dev team. They're like, it's supposed to be there. It looks like it should be there on our end. We don't know what's happened. All the other content creators are able, if this is happening with anyone else. I'm like, fuck! So yeah, I couldn't figure it out. We couldn't figure it out. We troubleshot a bunch of shit and could not figure out why I can't fucking see it. So yeah, I actually, despite the offer, have not been able to play yet. And I guess I'm going to have to wait till the 15th, which is such a sad day and proof there is no God, Jay.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Yep.
When I saw your background, I was like, wait a minute. Have you played it? Like, what? What are you...
I thought I was going to be able to.
Seen it in the Discord. Yeah, that it was coming.
Yep, bummed, but
well, that's all right. I'm going to send you an iCalendar invite for Thursday, and we'll be there.
Yeah, all right. Word. I'm fucking down. Absolutely down. And so yeah, that's all I really the only things really to talk about that I actually have. I have been it's I don't know. It's funny buying getting games. It's funny how. I don't know, my game buying process, I guess is what I'm talking about here, is so funny to me. Well, I don't know, with the Oculus stuff, I'm much more freer about it, and I'm kind of just like, I'll try it. First of all, the costs, they're not that expensive compared to what I've been paying for video games for some time. So I think that's part of it, is just the cost isn't as high, and I'm also just have a more experimental approach to this. I understand that, I don't know.
Yeah, you like buying games one at a time instead of the subscription service. I know. I understand.
Right.
You're living in the Stone Age. I get it. That's fine.
Right. Well, that's the only way they're going to offer it to me. If they're going to offer me, if that's the only way to get the better games, then I'm willing to succumb to it. But yeah, and I also think that part of it is because the trailer for a VR game, it doesn't matter. It's not the same thing. Yeah, it's not the same. You cannot even begin to get how it's going to be. You have no choice
but to experiment and
right, yeah. Which is really cool. Some of them have started doing actual demo that are nice. Fully functional downloads you can do. There's one I played. Actually, yeah, I should have talked about that. I think it's called City Folk or some shit like that. It was really cool. It was a kind of
Tell me you played Animal Crossing in real life, walking around in VR.
Oh, that would be fucking incredible. It kind of has that
a slimmed down version
aesthetic vibe to it, yeah. But I would say it's more of a builder, like a Sim City kind of builder. You're building this town, but it's in a kind of space deal, outer space kind of feel, and you're kind of building in all directions. And there's you gotta get the power to connect the things, and then you gotta get your little minions that come to the place to move. You got to like build domiciles for them to move into so they can work out of them. You got to have things like each kind of character has certain, like the one type of dude likes bananas, so you got to build banana things around the town to keep him happy, like a banana bench and a banana whatever, just things to keep him happy that are banana oriented, you know. And then like there's another one that's like hot dogs. That dude likes hot dogs, so you got to like build shit to keep him happy, you know. So a really cool mechanic in that regard, and it's like this like really wacky kind of builder thing, whatever. And the point being that it had like a 20-minute download version that you could play 20 minutes full go through the whole tutorial and actually play the first level, you know. And like it's nice. Just so much obviously better than and like I haven't bought it yet, but I probably will. It's pretty fun. I kind of got I got a little bit dead ended on the level I was playing, or I actually ended up getting a couple levels into it, I think, but I ended up dead ending on it, and I was kind of like I didn't buy it right away because I was like kind of frustrated about something, but it's good enough to play for sure. And obviously, if you buy it, you'll take the time to figure out whatever the fuck it is. I couldn't figure it out, you know. So yeah, City Folk, I'm pretty sure it's called. Either way, that has a demo, and that's fucking awesome. But yeah, trailers are fucking useless. So that's the thing too. Like you can't get, like you have to buy it, you know. And actually, and I don't know, maybe Microsoft has this too. I'm not suggesting that Oculus is standalone with this, but Oculus has a good. You get 2 hours of play, you can get a refund if you want anyways. So, like, if you really hate something, like that Townsfolk Tale or whatever it was, the RPG one that, like, I was, like, everyone was saying was kind of pretty good for an RPG, but it was only $10. Like, that's weird that an RPG, it only cost $10. And sure enough, it was, like, I couldn't. It was shitty as fuck. A long time ago, I downloaded that, and I got the refund, no problem with that. So, they have a pretty good refund policy, so that's part of it, too. Anyways, my whole point with this being, I keep, like, getting onto the brink of maybe buying that Atari 50th anniversary bullshit. And like I've watched the trailer. I have sat last night. I played some Subnautica for whatever reason. I was watching the Cavs game and I couldn't put the headset on, so I had to play some flat screen caveman gaming. So I was playing Subnautica for a bit, and I went into their store and I was looking at it's $40 for this thing, and like that's fucking too much for some Atari games, you know. But everything I've read that this is the first like in the spectrum of these compilation things, this one is done at like an elite level compared to the way they usually are. Like it's got like a really good. It's presented as like a museum kind of homage thing where there's all these videos. I've seen the trailers for it. Has my boys David Crane and Gary Kitchen from Activision fucking talking in. A bunch of the Atari, you know, mainstays are in there doing interviews talking about this shit. And they have both the original versions of the game and then these like remastered modern versions too. And I've like the Yar's Revenge, I guess, is really cool, the newer one. So, you know, there's a lot of effort into it. Obviously the aesthetic is there. I don't know if it's got like a build your own arcade kind of thing. It should. I don't know why. But like
Pac-Man Museum Plus.
Right, exactly, right. So that's what I'm hoping it has, and I cannot decide. Honestly, I think that's the thing that I'm not. That's what I was going to ask. Have you seen this, or / did you buy it? Like when you mentioned you were home, I was like, "Ooh, did he buy that Atari thing?" So like I'm not sure if it has that. It does mention. I have seen it mention that it has like the overlays even that were on the arcade cabinets, like the actual, like when you're looking at it, it's like looking at the actual arcade cabinet, you know, even down to whatever bullshit would have been on the glass, right. You know, which is, that's really fucking cool. So it seems there's a lot of great shit with it, but $40 for some Atari games. Like I'm reading the reviews and that's like the negative ones are exactly that. Like it's cool, it's awesome. But $40 for these games, like it's still a game that you play for like 5 minutes. You're like, okay, I'm good for this now. Mm-hmm. You know, like all Atari games are now. So, yeah, I can't get myself to spend the $40 on it, even though I want it.
It's funny you mention that because when I was home and we were playing the Switch, it was advertised on the Switch because I think you can just buy a version of it for that. And
I think it's cheaper on the Switch too. I think it's only $30 on the Switch, which also had me thinking about it. But
I would, me, I'm not going to buy things on the Switch first. I never do. I only jump on that for like, multiplayer family stuff. But the fact that it was up there had me, of course, just like, reminded me that it was out there. And so I looked at it again too, and I was like, yeah, but it's still that same thing. Like I would look at those games, but none of them are really like I would sit and play this for a while again, like that to that degree. I've already bought a lot of the Atari games, even like the even the Pac-Man version is in Pac-Man Museum Plus that I play. You know what I mean? So I have ways already of playing some of those games. That's like, this is cool. I just don't know if it's worth that money. So,
right, exactly. It sucks too because they don't have any of the Activision games, even though they're talking to Gary and fucking David in the fucking interviews.
Man.
Exactly right. I mean, I would say my top, I don't know, maybe that's extreme. Maybe like 12 of my top 15 Atari 2600 games are Activision. So like to not have that in there is also a huge attractor. Even though I love Yars' Revenge. I think they might have Adventure in there too. I'm not even sure, but what the game list is. But there are some Atari releases that I like, but most of the really good ones, the River Raid, Chopper Command, Pitfall, fucking Keystone Capers, Kaboom, like all those games are all Activision. For that not to be in there is a huge attractor too. But okay, well I think we solved my conundrum then whether or not I should buy this shit. I wrote, should I buy this shit in my notes here? And I think the answer to that is no based on our conversation. So I'm glad we had this discourse, Jay.